let me be mentally clear out there. The game is mental, and in a lot of different situations, a lot of, I would say, when it's a lot of confusion, when it's a lot of adversity, when it's a lot of things, going on, that's why I feel like God steps in the most for me to be able to help me stay mentally clear and mentally close to Him. So I would say that's definitely what was working for me today.
What if I told you Shedeur Sanders walked into the Browns post-game press conference and decided today was the day he'd stop pretending to be polite? Yes, folks, no filters, no breaks, just pure premium honesty sprayed across the room like a fire hose. Reporters weren't ready, fans weren't ready, and honestly, the microphone probably wasn't ready either. We're breaking down the most unintentionally hilarious, eyebrow-lifting post-game moment Cleveland has ever seen. Buckle up. This gets wild fast.
Shedeur Sanders is on his way to the podium. He will be the next man up, and I'm here to tell you, let's go over how he did today. Spectacular game, bro. Shedeur should have been the number one pick overall, hands down. Completely a better player than Cam Ward. Shedeur walks away with this game, with the Cleveland Browns offense looking like the best it has in years.
The room goes silent before Shedeur Sanders even appears. Reporters shift in their seats, sensing something heavy in the air, like a storm rolling in with no intention of passing quietly. Then he steps in, not rushed, not rattled, just carrying the kind of calm that usually belongs to people who have absolutely nothing left to hold back.
I do have a question for the Browns, whether it's for the OC or Stefanski. Final moments of the game. Shedeur takes that team all the way down. They score a touchdown. You're down by 2. You have to go for a 2-point conversion to tie it up. Why take Shedeur off the field? I think they did a direct snap, and they tried to do a double reverse, and I think Quinshon Judkins had the ball in his hand. But, why get tricky at that moment in the game? Just let your young QB, have a moment and push this game into overtime. I didn't understand that. Just overcomplicating the moment.
And then it begins, not with rage, not with drama, but with the kind of brutally honest energy you only get from someone who has carried an offense on his back for 4 quarters straight and is now too tired to sugarcoat anything. It's the type of vibe that says, I love this team, but somebody here needs to start making better life choices.
I'm comfortable with being uncomfortable. You gotta understand, that's just kind of like the situation I'm in, and I'm fine with that. I love that, because my story and everything inspires people to make sure, even if they're in uncomfortable positions and situations, to stay on course and keep that mental strong, and be able to push through adversity, knowing that you'll be able to see the other side one day. So that's kind of what it is.
The reporters ask him the usual questions, expecting the usual polite cliches. Instead, Shedeur gives them the verbal equivalent of a stiff arm. Suddenly, the air in the room shifts. You can almost hear a collective gasp from the front office watching somewhere off screen. This isn't the good job, guys. We worked hard routine they've rehearsed all season. This is Shedeur Sanders after a win. He had to drag the team into it like he was towing a broken down truck.
But some really good moments.
What was supposed to happen on that last 2-point conversion?
Yeah, not going to get into all the specifics, Jeff, but obviously did not go as we thought it would.
Did you make that call or did Tommy?
Yeah, I make every call.
Shedeur had the hot hand. Why would you take him off?
Yeah, it's a 2-point play. Didn't come through on our first 2-point play. Got to the second 2-point play. We didn't come through, but that's on me.
Was that play call yours or Tommy's?
I'm responsible for all of it.
Kevin, on the first one, just I guess what prompted wanting to go forward in that scenario?
Yeah, it's a scenario that we talk about a lot. That's something that
he talks about the plays he made, the effort he gave, the way the offense finally looked alive. But every sentence feels like it's sprinkled with seasoning, specifically the kind seasoned coaches start sweating over, because the subtext is obvious to anyone with 2 functioning ears. If he had been unleashed earlier this season, the Browns might have clinched playoff spots before Halloween. Reporters exchange glances. Some grin, some look terrified. One in the back is probably texting his editor. He's saying stuff, real stuff. Prepare the front page. He brings up moments from the game where he had to improvise because the original plan clearly came from someone who still thinks dial-up internet is cutting-edge technology. He doesn't say names, but he doesn't have to. Every Browns fan, every assistant coach, every employee who has ever seen Kevin Stefanski pace the sidelines knows exactly what's going on here. This isn't disrespect. This is accountability wrapped in charisma. Shedeur talks about trusting his instincts, because evidently, trusting the system all season got him about as far as trusting a folding chair on a windy day. The man tried, tried. He really did. But when a plan isn't working, it isn't working. And Shedeur has apparently reached the point where he's no longer interested in pretending otherwise.
You're not in no way, shape, form in the position to question another quarterback that is young and is expecting the best out of you. What makes a great receiver is the ability to normalize difficult catches. You catch the ones that some would say you're not even supposed to catch. Being a receiver and you only catch the ones that you're supposed to catch and that's it does not validate you as a good receiver. The great receivers are the ones that...
This went beyond shocking. He explains how he came into the game knowing what needed to be done because he wasn't about to let a predictable game plan sink another week. He wanted the ball, wanted the responsibility, and wanted the pressure. And hearing him say it, well, if confidence were a currency, Shedeur would have bought the building the press conference was in. The more he talks, the more it becomes clear. This is the quarterback Cleveland has been waiting for, the one who walks into chaos and treats it like casual background noise. Meanwhile, Stefanski is somewhere definitely not breathing normally, listening to every word like someone who just realized the warranty on their coaching job might have expired. Shedeur mentions the connection with his receivers, the trust they've built, the plays they begged to run all season but apparently sat untouched in the playbook like forgotten leftovers. He shakes his head in that "I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it" way that has reporters leaning forward like this is the season finale of a show that's suddenly become interesting again. He talks about leadership. Not the type where you wear a headset and squint a lot, but the type where you take ownership, inspire the room, and actually do something that moves the scoreboard. He mentions pushing teammates, demanding excellence, and refusing to settle for mediocrity. And every time he says something that sounds noble on the surface, there's a tiny aftershock beneath it, like he's politely pointing out the Browns might have been playing with the parking brake on until today.
I really appreciate Shedeur because, you know, a lot of us, and I agree, I think Kevin Stefanski needs to be fired. I got to be honest with you. It has nothing to do with Shedeur. It just has to do with him being a bad football coach and being an offensive mind and having a bad offense. But him coming to the podium and instead of, oh, we're bad or we're this, like Cam Ward does, right? And in shot, we love Cam Ward right here. I like the honesty from Cam Ward. He's defending Kevin Stefanski, right? Like he could easily say, oh, man, I wish this or wish that. But all he's saying is, hey, I messed up. I could have done better.
And then he says the line that really sets the room ablaze. Not a quote, but the message is clear enough. If he had been given the reins earlier, the Browns wouldn't be trying to salvage the season. They'd be dominating it. The reporters stop typing. They're stunned. Because he said what every Browns fan shouted into a pillow for the first 8 games. The silence afterward is priceless. You could hear a Gatorade bottle cap drop. Shedeur isn't done though. He continues with this masterclass in candor, explaining how he studies, prepares, leads, and adapts. He talks about what he sees on the field, how he reads defenses, how he feels rhythm and momentum like a musician reading sheet music. And he does it all with a tone that subtly implies, maybe, just maybe, someone should have noticed that sooner. He breaks down drives, moments, mismatches, and opportunities, but every explanation doubles as a politely wrapped critique of the season's earlier decisions. Not petty, not angry, just factual. And sometimes facts hit harder than insults ever could. By now, social media is buzzing. Clips of the conference are circulating before he even finishes talking. Fans are declaring this the most honest Browns interview in decades. Others are asking if Stefanski has packed yet. Even rival fans are watching with popcorn, fully invested in the spectacle.
Hello, boys.
What'd you think of Shedeur yesterday, huh?
I thought it was pretty good. Aside from the one interception, I thought he was pretty good.
Okay. Pretty good, that's it? Just pretty good?
Yeah. I think he should start the rest of the year.
Oh, that's not saying anything. Come on.
Well, he should.
Put him out there and make a damning opinion here.
I told you he's pretty good. There's something there. Let's see what he's got the rest of the season.
Here's where it gets interesting. Shedeur leans back at one point, and the expression on his face says everything. He's not here to bash anyone. He's just here to tell the truth. And the truth is, the Browns have been sitting on dynamite, but someone kept insisting it was a candle. He praises his teammates, credits their work, highlights their fight, but in doing so, he subtly makes it clear that this group should have been empowered long ago, that the pieces were always there, that the talent was always real, that the only thing missing was belief and freedom, and the audacity to let him cook. The press conference winds down, but the energy doesn't. Reporters look exhausted and thrilled at the same time. Fans online are debating whether this is the turning point of the franchise or the beginning of a coaching documentary titled "Decisions Were Made." And Shedeur, he stands up, gives a small nod, and walks out like a man who just cleaned an entire room without raising his voice. He knows what he said. The team knows. The city knows. And Stefanski definitely knows. The Browns' future suddenly feels brighter, not because of promises, not because of hype, but because their quarterback just walked into a press room and told the truth with the precision of a 40-yard laser. What happens next? Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Yeah, He's the first Browns quarterback with 300 pass yards, 3 touchdowns, and a rush touchdown in the same game since 1950. He's also the 7th rookie in the Super Bowl era to throw for 360 yards, have 4 total touchdowns, rush or pass in the same game, joining C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Marcus Mariota, Andrew Luck, and Matthew Stafford. But despite, got me frustrated because I'm mad at him.
And that's where we pick up the story next. He leaves the room, and somehow the silence he leaves behind is louder, heavier, and far more chaotic than anything he actually said. Reporters pack their bags in stunned slow motion, like they've just witnessed a natural phenomenon that scientists weren't prepared to explain yet. One guy in the front row is still sitting there frozen mid-keystroke, staring into the void like Shedeur just unplugged his entire belief system. Behind the cameras, you can practically sense the Browns front office having a collective identity crisis. They're standing somewhere out of view, blinking aggressively, replaying his comments in their heads like a glitchy highlight reel. They know exactly what just happened. They know Shedeur didn't attack anyone. He simply held up a mirror. And unfortunately for them, the mirror had stadium lighting. Stefanski, wherever he is, probably dropped his headset even though he wasn't wearing one. Because this wasn't a rookie quarterback speaking out of turn. This was a franchise cornerstone casually pointing out that the house blueprint makes no sense and that half the windows were installed upside down. He didn't ridicule the coaching decisions. They ridiculed themselves by comparison.
You know, this is a guy who took you all the way down, put you in position. He's the most important person on the field, on your offense, and you don't have him in there. And I get it. You know, offensive coordinators, they package certain things. Sometimes you have 2-point plays that you just throw in your back pocket for a long time, may have a special personnel, whatever. But, like, was that the...
Back in the hallway, players brush past each other, whispering their interpretations. Some are energized, some are relieved, some are just trying not to smile too hard in case a camera is still rolling. Because deep down, they all know. When a quarterback stands up like that, it changes everything. It tells the locker room they're not crazy, that the frustrations, the confusion, the wasted potential, they weren't imagining it. What Shedeur did wasn't a rant. It was a release valve for an entire roster. The city of Cleveland, meanwhile, reacts like it just received breaking news that the Sun is actually a Browns fan. Phones light up everywhere. Social feeds explode. Fans stitch together clips like they're building an investigative documentary. Some call it poetic. Some call it overdue. They insist it's a bold move, a risky move, a necessary move, a revolutionary move, depending on how many views they're trying to get.
Stewart shown again and again. He's the answer in the red zone for the Cleveland Browns. Shedeur Sanders just played by far his best game as a pro. He just threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns and led the Browns in rushing and scored a rushing touchdown from 7 yards. Clutch, clutch, clutch. Just led an 80-yard drive in 7 plays to put them within striking distance, 31-20.
But the truth is simpler. Shedeur said what needed to be said because the Browns season demanded honesty. Someone had to point out that this team shouldn't have been scavenging for momentum like it was spare change under the couch cushions. Someone had to say out loud that Cleveland had the weapons, the talent, and the spark. It just didn't have leadership willing to light the match. And now the match is fully lit. By midweek, the Browns facility feels different. Coaches walk a little straighter. Staffers type a little quieter. Assistants whisper like they're sharing classified information. Nobody wants to be the person caught not taking things seriously now that the quarterback has effectively turned on the stadium's spiritual Wi-Fi. Players, on the other hand, look energized. Meetings run smoother. Practices run sharper. There's a sense of purpose hanging in the air, like everyone suddenly remembered this is supposed to be a professional football team and not an experimental art project. Receivers run their routes with extra crispness because they know the ball is coming. Linemen lock in because they know Shedeur trusts them. The defense practices with new intensity because if the offense is leveling up, they better keep up or get roasted next.
Ball. But what I do love, getting back to Shedeur a couple of weeks ago, after getting the win and then losing, and then on the sideline, Jerry Jeudy going over to him. And I don't know all the details of what happened, but what I do know is a veteran receiver was talking to a young quarterback. They had a little back and forth, and people made a big deal out of it. They kind of quieted this week and said, it wasn't the big deal. We handled it behind the scenes. But then he hits him on, I think it was a deep crosser or a skinny post.
Yeah.
A beautiful ball, and then Jeudy catches it on the run, gets in the end zone.
Stefanski, he walks around with the expression of someone trying to pretend everything is normal while simultaneously hearing elevator music that sounds suspiciously like a countdown clock. He watches Shedeur more closely now, not like a coach analyzing a player, but like a man trying to figure out which Lego piece he misplaced that caused the whole structure to collapse. Team meetings become hilarious in ways no one expected. The coaching staff presents new strategies that suddenly look much more flexible, modern, and shockingly responsive to the strengths of their quarterback. What an amazing coincidence. They talk about adjusting the system, leaning into dynamic playmaking, and empowering our leaders. Translation: please let us keep our jobs. Shedeur listens politely, nodding with that calm, relaxed posture of someone who knows the room has officially tilted in his direction. He's not arrogant. He doesn't have to be. When you prove yourself on the field and then double down with a press conference that shakes the building, you earn a certain level of gravitational pull. The following game arrives like a test no one wants to admit they're nervous about. Fans pack the stadium, buzzing with anxious hope. Commentators go on long monologues about organizational turning points and quiet revolutions. Even rival fan bases tune in, eager to see if the Browns crumble or evolve.
Again and again and again, Kevin Stefanski did not want Shedeur Sanders, didn't even want him in the 5th round. Kevin Stefanski has done everything in his power to keep Shedeur Sanders from succeeding in Cleveland as a 5th round pick against all odds. Even yanking Shedeur again for the potential tying 2-point conversion, going with the Wildcat. It was a disaster after Shedeur.
And then the game starts. Shedeur comes out playing like someone who left the press conference and immediately decided to send a follow-up message on the field. Every throw is sharp. Every read is instant. Every drive feels like he's directing traffic on a highway only he understands. The offense moves with a rhythm that screams, this is what it was always supposed to look like. The stadium erupts, the sidelines erupt, even the announcers lose composure. And Stefanski, he stands there clapping a little too enthusiastically, hoping the cameras catch him supporting the new energy. By halftime, the narrative has shifted from, can the Browns survive this transition, to, should the Browns build a statue of Shedeur right now, or wait until the end of the season? He plays like a man unburdened, like someone who dropped his grievances at the podium and picked up a fresh set of possibilities, like someone who knows greatness doesn't whisper, it announces itself. After the win, reporters crowd around again, eager for round 2 of the truth, according to Sanders. This time he's composed, even lighter. Not because the drama is gone, but because the message has already been delivered. The work is happening now. The team is different now. The future looks bright now. He still speaks honestly, still confidently, but with a new undercurrent of control. He doesn't need to call anything out anymore. His performance is doing all the speaking. The room feels calmer, but not because its tension vanished. It's calmer because everyone finally understands who the Browns' true leader is. When Shedeur stands and walks out this time, the silence he leaves behind isn't heavy. It's hopeful. Reporters look at each other with the kind of mutual agreement that rarely happens in sports. This team is changing before their eyes. Cleveland knows it. The league knows it. The Browns know it better than anyone. The Sanders era hasn't just begun. It has arrived. And what comes next? Well, that's where things get even more interesting.